Snow fell in silent, feathery curtains over Chicago's South Side rooftops the evening Amara and Zuri Johnson, 11-year-old identical twins with matching corkscrew curls and patched-up coats, trudged home from the public library. The lights of Lake Shore Drive glittered beyond vacant lots, turning muddy slush into tiny mirrors. In Amara's mittened hand sat a wallet so heavy it felt alive, a polished ivory clutch that absolutely did not belong in this neighborhood. It had skidded from the back seat of a glossy black town car when a harried woman in a sable coat leapt out, juggling her phone and a stack of contracts. The woman never noticed. Amara had meant only to scoop it up before traffic flattened it, but curiosity and hunger made her fingers pry the clasp. Stacks of $100 bills, platinum cards engraved E.W. Sterling Holdings, and a driver's license. Eleanor Westwood Sterling, age 67, residence Gold Coast penthouse. The cash alone. 3 crisp bundles would buy warmth, shoes without holes, maybe even a real bed instead of the Salvation Shelter's bunk they shared. Zuri's stomach growled so loudly the wind seemed to echo it. $3,000, Zuri whispered, her breath fogging the air. We could eat like queens till spring. Amara's grip tightened. Their mother, Dana, had died when they were 2. Her last words, according to the social worker file nobody let them read, were, "Tell my daughters to stay golden." Dana had been golden in every way but money. The girl's father, Nathaniel Westwood, was only a photograph, a lanky white man with gentle eyes, killed in a wreck rushing Dana to the ER. All that remained of him was the surname a careless clerk had misspelled, the mixed amber tone of the twins' skin, and a rumor whispered by nurses. He'd been disowned by rich people up north the day he married a black artist from Bronzeville. Amara shut the wallet. "It's not ours." Zuri shivered. "Amara, nobody'd ever know." "Our mother would know," Amara said, and started walking, north, not south, into thicker snow, toward glittering high-rises the shelter kids called Castle Towers. They had no bus fare, no phone, and only the address printed on a Sterling Holdings business card. But they had each other, and the strange thrum inside Amara's chest that said returning this wallet mattered more than warmth or fear. Blocks later, the lake wind sliced through their coats like knives. The twins' breaths came ragged. Still they pressed on, past boarded-up shops, across the river, into streets where valet attendants eyed them as intruders. At the Art Deco Sterling building, a lobby guard in brass buttons barred their path until Amara held up the ivory clutch. Money was powerful. The guard's scowl became stiff courtesy, and soon they were in a private elevator, shoes dripping meltwater onto marble. 63rd floor, penthouse. Doors opened to a foyer of silver sculptures and white orchids. Eleanor Westwood Sterling herself strode forward, her bobbed platinum hair immaculate, voice razor-sharp from decades of boardrooms. She towered above the girls, an apparition of wealth so dazzling they felt translucent. "Can I help you?" she asked, clutching a crystal tumbler of something amber. Amara extended the wallet with tremulous fingers. "You dropped this, ma'am." Eleanor's glass rattled against the table as she snatched the wallet, flipped it open, counted. Everything intact. Shock flickered across her porcelain features, but it wasn't about the cash. It was the twins, 2 small faces hauntingly familiar, like a photograph she'd torn up years ago. "You didn't take a cent?" she murmured. Zuri shook her head. "We're not thieves." A wry, brittle laugh escaped Eleanor. Honesty in children these days, astonishing. She studied the twins. The slope of Zuri's nose, the dimple in Amara's chin, echoes of her estranged son Nathaniel. Hidden memories cracked open. The day Nate had brought home Dana Johnson, radiant and unafraid, and Eleanor had uttered the unforgivable. "My son doesn't marry the help." Much less, she had blocked out the rest, sealed it beneath champagne and acquisitions. Nate had walked out forever. Weeks later, news came of a crash in Gary, Indiana. Ice-slicked roads, wife dying after childbirth, husband following days later. Eleanor sent a bouquet, convinced grief absolved prejudice, and returned to earnings calls. Now, years too late, living proof of her mistake stood before her. Eyes wide, eyelashes tipped with snowflakes. Guilt slammed into her like lake wind. "You girls must be freezing." Her voice softened against her will. Have you eaten?" Amara exchanged a wary glance with her sister. "Not since breakfast." "Come," Eleanor said, leading them to a kitchen larger than their entire shelter floor. Steam from cocoa rose like forgiveness, while chef-prepared tomato bisque simmered on induction stoves. The twins cupped mugs, thawing hands numbed blue. "What are your names?" Eleanor asked, though she knew. "Amara and Zuri Johnson." They answered together. Johnson. Dana's surname. Eleanor's chest constricted. And where do you live? Salvation Shelter, South Kedzie, Zuri said, and Eleanor flinched. That address was an entire universe from hers. The girls explained they were 6th graders at Harper Elementary, walked 2 miles each day, tutored the littler shelter kids at night. Eleanor listened, knuckles whitening around her tumbler. The girls spoke of Dana as though she were sunlight itself. Her art, her lullabies, the painting the twins protected like scripture. A golden sunrise labeled "Stay Golden, my girls." Eleanor folded her hands to hide their tremor. If you return my wallet for no reward, what drove you through a blizzard? Amara answered simply, doing right shouldn't need payment. Those words gutted Eleanor. They echoed her son's voice from a memory she had buried. Love isn't a transaction, mother. Silence stretched, heavy as snowfall. Eleanor cleared her throat. I'd like to drive you home. Taxis were rare near Salvation Shelter. Limousines unheard of. At the curb, Eleanor opened the door, but Zuri hesitated. We'll walk. People might talk. Eleanor almost laughed. Reputation mattered to children with nothing? Then she realized, not their reputation, hers. They didn't want others thinking she was some savior. They wanted no debt. Then allow me to escort you from a distance, in case the weather worsens. The twins consented. All 20 blocks, Eleanor's chauffeur idled 10 yards behind while twins crunched through snowbanks. Eleanor watched from the back seat, phone forgotten, heart reassembling itself along fault lines of regret. By Salvation Shelter's flickering porch light, the sisters waved before slipping inside. Eleanor continued sitting long after, snow frosting the windshield, whispering to the ghost of her son, Nate, forgive me. That night, she ordered every file her corporate investigators could unearth. Death certificates, adoption records, guardianship forms. At 2:14 a.m., she found what she already knew. Nate Westwood had married Dana Johnson in a small Bronzeville church. Their twins, Amara Dana Westwood Johnson and Zuri Dana Westwood Johnson, had entered foster care after both parents died. No relative had claimed them. At 2:16 a.m., Eleanor's tears blurred the legalese. By 3 a.m., she drafted a plan ruthless in its precision. Cancel the Zurich merger, liquidate Sterling's art collection, and redirect her empire's philanthropic arm. Nothing, not stockholder ire, not PR backlash, would stop her from reclaiming the family she'd thrown away. Morning sun found Salvation Shelter glowing orange through stained glass. Inside, Ms. Alvarez, shelter director, nearly dropped her clipboard when limousine doors swung wide and Eleanor Westwood Sterling strode, in wearing a wool coat the color of storm clouds. The twins, volunteering to ladle oatmeal, froze. Miss Alvarez, Eleanor said, voice trembling just enough to be human. I'm here regarding Amara and Zuri. Protective alarm flashed in Alvarez's eyes. Wealthy patrons often treated shelter kids like projects. They haven't done anything wrong, she said firmly. They've done everything right, Eleanor replied. Then she addressed the twins. May I speak with you in private? In the director's tiny office, Eleanor removed a weathered photograph. Nathaniel beaming beside Dana, who cradled infant twins swaddled in yellow. She set it between paper snowflakes the girls had taped to the walls. I am Nathaniel's mother, Eleanor said. The words sounded like breaking chains. That makes me your grandmother, if you'll have me. Shock hollowed the room. Amara's spoon clattered into an oatmeal pot. Zuri's eyes pooled. The twins knew their father's surname, Westwood, but not its weight. Could this elegant stranger truly be family? Eleanor drew a shaky breath. I wronged your parents. I let prejudice blind me. I lost my son, and through cowardice, lost you. But I want to know you, help you, love you. Amara spoke first, quiet and fierce. Love isn't money. Exactly, Eleanor whispered. Which is why I'm not offering money. I'm offering myself. Dinners where we argue about homework, a safe home, a chance for you to choose your future, and the freedom to refuse me. Zuri's lip quivered. Do you have pictures of our dad? We barely remember him. Eleanor produced an envelope. Nate at age 5 grinning atop a pony. Nate at 14 winning state science fair. Nate at 22 lifting Dana, both laughing beneath murals she'd painted. Zuri traced Dana's outline. Amara touched Nate's freckled cheek. Hours later, twins and grandmother sat in the penthouse living room that had once felt sterile. Now, photographs blanketed the coffee table like fallen leaves of history. Eleanor confessed everything. Her snobbery, her stone-walled heart, her decades-long loneliness. She promised counselors for the trauma she had not caused but could help heal. Tutors, yes, but also art mentors to honor Dana, STEM scholarships to honor Nate. And she promised the shelter would never again run short on blankets. Amara asked the hardest question. Does forgiveness mean forgetting? Eleanor swallowed. No. It means remembering without letting pain decide the present. News of Westwood Sterling's sudden guardianship petition ignited Chicago tabloids. Ice Queen thaws, adopts shelter twins. But Eleanor ignored them. She focused on earning trust. She attended PTA meetings, learned to braid curls, and let Amara paint sunrise murals over the penthouse's minimalist walls. Zuri, who loved architecture, sketched redesigns for the shelter, skylights, reading nooks, a greenhouse on the roof. 3 months later, Eleanor invited the girls to Sterling Holdings' annual summit. Analysts expected spreadsheets. They received a 12-year-old's speech. Amara stepped to the podium in a thrift store dress upgraded with her own golden brushstrokes. Profits are numbers, she said, voice steady. Character is priceless. My sister and I returned this company's heirloom wallet because integrity feels better than cash. Imagine businesses run that way. Gasps. Then applause rolled through the ballroom like thunder. Stock tickers flickered. Sterling shares jumped 3 points before dessert. Eleanor then unveiled the Westwood Johnson Initiative, $500 million toward urban youth entrepreneurship, funded by divesting from Sterling's private prison contracts. Board members sputtered. Investors threatened revolt. Eleanor responded, if conscience costs profits, I pay gladly. Majority shareholders, inspired by viral footage of Amara's speech, caved to public pressure within days. But the real twists unfolded offstage. One April afternoon, twins and grandmother toured the revamped Salvation Shelter, now Sunrise House, when a janitor named Mr. Jenkins pressed an envelope into Zuri's hand. Inside lay a faded ring inscribed NJ and DJ, Eternity, and a letter dated 2 weeks before Nate's wedding, signed MW. The letter apologized for abandoning Nate after his mother's ultimatum and claimed guilt had driven MW overseas. The twins puzzled until Eleanor paled. MW, Margaret Westwood, Eleanor's own sister, thought lost to Himalayan expeditions. She had secretly comforted Nate, tried persuading Eleanor to accept his marriage, and when rebuffed, vanished in disillusionment. Jenkins revealed he was Margaret's travel partner. Terminal cancer had driven him to return Nate's ring to the rightful heirs. The revelation cracked Eleanor's heart anew. Prejudice had not only cost her son, but her sister. She vowed restitution, chartering a global search for Margaret. 2 months passed before an email arrived. Subject, found your aunt, Margaret Westwood, 69, teaching art to orphan girls in Kathmandu, alive and well. Video chat reunited the family. Margaret in bright silk, tears gleaming, twins promising to visit, Eleanor whispering apologies across continents. The audience of Eleanor's story. Media and public alike marveled at each turn. Shelter twins to heirs, billionaire to penitent, lost aunt to living legend. Documentarians camped outside Sunrise House, hoping for quotes. Amara and Zuri deflected attention to causes, literacy drives, mixed-race mentorship programs, scholarships honoring their mother's name. Yet the greatest days struck one muggy August evening. Amara and Zuri, returning from volunteer tutoring, noticed a boy of maybe 9 hunched on Michigan Avenue, clutching a violin case. His shoes flapped, his knuckles were bleeding. Pickpocket, he'd lost metro fare home. Without hesitation, the girls hailed a cab, paid the driver, and tucked granola bars into the boy's hands. It felt ordinary to them, kindness routine. But the cabbie filmed the exchange. Within hours the clip trended. Billionaire granddaughters give last cash to street kids. When reporters asked why they would help a stranger when their family owned fortunes, Zuri answered, our wealth is an accident of birth. Our choices are not. The line ricocheted across social feeds, sparking debates about privilege, race, and moral responsibility. Eleanor watched from her office, pride swelling. Once she had measured worth in board votes. Now she measured it in the number of strangers her granddaughter's example compelled to act. Donation portals crashed under traffic. Sunrise House announced 5 new satellite shelters. And somewhere in Kathmandu, Margaret Westwood smiled, painting a new mural called Golden Chain of Kindness. A year after the blizzard, Eleanor stood with her granddaughters on the rooftop of Sunrise House. Below, a new garden, Zuri's blueprint, glittered with solar lamps. Kids harvested lettuce beside Dana Johnson's sunrise mural. The first snowflakes of the season swirled, echoing that fateful night. Amara nudged her grandmother, pointing to a little white boy and a little black girl, clasping mittened hands, sharing an umbrella hacked from garbage bags. Look familiar? She teased. Eleanor's eyes stung. History rhymes, she whispered. Zuri produced the ivory wallet, now empty, edges worn. They'd turned it into a time capsule, stuffed with shelter kids' wishes. Tonight, they would bury it beneath the garden's tallest oak sapling, roots drinking in hope. Before they did, Amara added one final note. Asterisk stay golden, world. Love, A and Z. Asterisk she sealed the clasp, handed it to Eleanor. Ready? Zuri asked. Eleanor knelt, pressing the wallet into earth. Snow powdered her hair. She recalled Nate's earnest grin, Dana's fearless art, Margaret's uncompromising wanderlust. She felt their spirits weaving through the twins' laughter, through the humming city, through every stranger choosing kindness over comfort. As the hole was covered, church bells in Bronzeville rang at 8 o'clock. Cars honked in distant traffic jams. Phones somewhere buzzed with breaking news. But on that rooftop, 3 generations stood hand in hand, proof that redemption was not a myth, that love could outgrow prejudice, that a single returned wallet could tilt an empire toward justice. Chicago's skyline glimmered, towers no longer aloof castles, but lighthouses in falling snow. Amara squeezed Zuri's fingers. Zuri squeezed back. Eleanor exhaled a breath she'd been holding for 12 years and felt it crystallize into resolve. Because somewhere, beneath another neon sky, another child was weighing honesty against hunger, another wallet was inching toward a storm drain, another heart was about to choose between fear and hope. And thanks to 2 girls who had stayed golden, the world now tilted, ever so slightly, toward hope.